but he doesn't really believe at all. He doesn't really believe in organized religion or anything. And we go to lunch every day together. And the last little bit has been kind of tough on him because we're not going to the normal places that we normally go to. He's kind of dragged along to wherever I can go because I need to have tofu or whatever it might be. And then he asked me, why do you fast? And we've heard the lessons over and over again, self-control and all that stuff. And mind you, again, he's Catholic, and his wife, they also give up something. So his question is like, does God really care if you sacrifice anything? Does it really make any difference in front of God's eyes? What if I just do something else? Why does it matter? So I've been thinking about it for a while. And I've got a few stories that are going to lead up to where I think what the proper answer is, why do we fast, and how fasting should really be done to get the true benefit out of it. All right, so I got two stories, and I've been trying to figure out which one to tell you guys first, but I'm going to give you the more complicated story first, and some of you guys may have heard I'm going to be talking about monkeys today. So the first story about monkeys, there was an experiment done they put 5 monkeys in a cage, and they dropped a ladder in the cage, and they put bananas at the top. So obviously, what do the monkeys do? One of them gets on there quickly and starts climbing up, and as soon as he gets his banana and comes back down, the scientists pull out a fire hose and just spray the other monkeys down. I mean, like fire hose, not like a water hose. They hurt them. So they haven't put 2 and 2 together yet. So then they put another banana up there, and then another monkey goes up there, and then all the rest of the monkeys get sprayed again. And over and over and over again, it keeps happening until finally they figure it out. Okay, nobody get the banana, right? And just naturally, they all stopped going to go get the banana. Now, they took one of the monkeys out. They put another monkey in. This monkey has no idea what's going on. First thing he sees, banana. What does he do? He goes to the ladder. As soon as he goes to the ladder, all the other monkeys jump on him, start beating him up. Right? You're not going up this ladder. Right? He has no idea why he's getting beat up. He hasn't put it together yet. Tries again. Beats him up again. He doesn't try to go again. They get another monkey, put the other monkey in. They keep doing it over and over again until all 5 monkeys have been replaced. None of them have ever been sprayed by water, but none of them will go up the ladder. Right? And you can imagine now, if you were to ask the monkeys, why don't you go up there? Like, well, we don't really know, but we do know that you don't go up this ladder. Right? Or else you're going to get beat up. No idea why. Another simpler story. A man and a woman just got married. Woman's cooking her first meal, roast beef. And she cuts off the little ending of the roast beef at the end. And the guy asks her, well, why are you cutting off the ending? And she says, I don't know, my mom always told me to do it that way. That's how I learned it. So she gets interested, I'll ask my mom. So she goes and asks her mom, and she's like, oh, I don't know, I learned it from my mom. So she goes to ask her grandma. And her grandma's like, oh, well, we were really poor. I only had 1 pan, and the roast beef wouldn't fit in there. So I had to cut it off. Like, right? So all along, they're sitting there cutting off this piece of roast beef, but in reality, they could have been keeping it, right? So the real question is, or the real point is, we shouldn't be doing things without knowing the reason why, right? Because for all we know, maybe they were never going to spray another monkey again, and they could have gotten those bananas. For all we know, that could be the best part of the roast beef, and they've been ignoring it all along. So, in many ways, we do exactly the same thing in church when we fast. We respect certain religious traditions and observe certain practices of our faith simply because our mothers did them. It's not necessarily wrong, but it is a prescription for turning these traditions into empty and meaningless customs. So, we need to understand why to do them. So, why should we fast? We're going to start real quick. Can you have Matthew 7 open? So, Matthew 7:14, it's just 3 verses, 7:14 through 7:17. Can you read it for us?
Because narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing. Inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Do you men who gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles?
I'm sorry, I think I wrote down the wrong chapter. I think it's Matthew 9:14. I'm sorry. Typo here. Matthew 9. Let me just pull it up real quick to make sure.
14 to 9:17?
Yes, Matthew 9:14 to 17. Thank you.
Then the disciples of John came to him, saying, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?" And Jesus said to them, "Can the friends of the bridegroom mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away, and from them, and then they will fast. No one puts a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the path pulls away from the garment, and the tear is made worse."
Okay, so we're going to answer the question of why we fast by how we are supposed to fast. And the answer, why are they not fasting, was because you don't put something new on something old, right? You have to renew yourself first. So we're going to go through this, and this is very similar to the story that he told to Nicodemus. You must be born again, right? So I'm going to give you one more story. Sorry, I like stories, but I'm going to give you one last story. A wealthy man goes to the monastery, and he wants to get cleaned. So he goes, he wants to get closer to God. So he goes and he sets a time to go sit with a monk, and he asks the monk to give him some advice. The monk says, "Okay, well, first, would you like a cup of water?" Wealthy man says, "Yes, please." So he brings him a cup, starts pouring water, and keeps pouring until it fills up to the brim, tips over, and just goes all up on his suit. Really nice suit. The guy stands up screaming, "Why? Why would you do this? What are you doing?" Right? And he said, "Look, you are exactly like this cup of water. You come in here with all sorts of other things on your mind. You have all these earthly things and making money and all this, there's no room for us to put God in you. So you must first empty out everything else in this cup so that God can fit in." So the reason then for fasting would be to cleanse yourself, right? Cleanse yourself from all the desires and all the things that you are hooked on in the earth, right? And we see this kind of in the story of the temptations with Jesus, that Satan offers him bread, which we are fasting from food. He offers him the world. "I'll give you everything," right? And the same thing here is that we should be fasting from not just the food, but the worldly things as well. We see this in terms of preparation a lot as well, right? So Jesus prepared, Moses prepared, the disciples prepared, the prophets prepared. Everybody basically was preparing to do great things by fasting. So to recap real quick, we're fasting to empty ourselves from all the things that tie us to the world, to prepare ourselves to receive God. Okay, so the question becomes, how do you know that it actually prepares you? Okay. So when you fast, I want to be very careful in the way that I say everything here. So if you're not, you shouldn't just be fasting from food. We agree. But as a lot of priests always say, you should be also replacing that with something positive. Right? So if you don't, you will just find yourself bored, and you will go back to either that sin or to something else. And you shouldn't just be fasting from food, you should be fasting from gossiping, hating, mean things and all that, and doing good works as well. And then that will take you to the next step. And the next step, I want everybody to read Isaiah 58, if you don't mind, because this is going to be a lot better than the way that I'm going to say it. Okay. So I'm going to read it just because I'm using the NIV, which I read both, and there's not really any discrepancy, but the NIV is very easy to understand. And I'm going to start with verse 3. And I lost reception. Great. No, wait. Boon? Or actually, I think I have it right here.
Number 8.
I have it. I have it everywhere. It's open on every media.
Verse 3, right?
Yeah.
Want to read it?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Saying, why have we fasted, but you did not see it? Why have we humbled our souls, but you did not know it? Because in the days of your fast, you seek your own wills and mistreat those under your authority. If you fast for condemnation and quarrels and strike a humble man with your fist, why do you fast to me as you do today? So your voice may be heard in crying? I did not choose this fast and such a day for a man to humble his soul. Nor if you should bow your neck like a ring and spread sackcloth and ashes unto yourself. Could you thus call such a fast acceptable? I did not choose such a fast, says the Lord. Rather, loose every bond of wrongdoing, untie the knots of violent dealings, cancel the debts of the oppressed, and tear apart every unjust contract. Break your bread for the hungry, and bring the homeless poor into your house. If you see a naked man, clothe him, nor shall you disregard your offspring in your own household. Then your light shall break forth as the morning, and your healing shall spring forth quickly. Your righteousness shall go before you, and the glory of God shall cover you. Should I give up?
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Then you shall cry out, and God will hear you. While you are still speaking, he will say, Behold, I am here. If you take away your fetter at the pointing of the finger and the word of grumbling, and if you give bread to the hungry from your soul, and satisfy the humble soul, then your light shall rise up in the darkness, and your darkness shall be as the midday. God shall be with you continually, and you shall be satisfied as your soul desires. Your bones shall be enriched, and you shall be like a well-watered garden, and like a spring of water that does not fail. Your bones will arise and be enriched like a green plant, and they shall inherit generations of generations.
Okay. All right. Can anybody summarize that into one sentence? Anybody? No, I'm actually asking, not just rhetorical. Summarizing into one sentence. If you fast, and you fast the way that we fast, with no thought, you fast like the Pharisees were asking, where I don't really change my inside, but I do everything on the outside that I'm supposed to be doing, and I just fast, then what? Then he says, is this what I'm asking for? No. He says, it's bogus, right? But he says if you fast and you give to the poor and you go help and you help people and you release the chains off the people that have problems and you go out there and do good works, then God will look down upon you with greatness and mercy, right? So just a quick summary is the fasting really, really is not about the food at all. It is almost 100% about the good deeds. I'm not saying don't fast without the food. Okay, and just because Abuna walked out, no, has nothing to do with that. No, honestly, this is going to come back. You need both. Just like God was offered food and the world, and he had to turn them both down. Yes?
There's a really nice commentary. Can I read it?
Please.
God will not see these. I'm just being selective right now, so I might God will not see these actions if we mistreat others. God chooses rather that we humble our own soul. And then it says, first the physical needs must be met, and then the spiritual needs can be satisfied. Kind of tying back both the physical and the spiritual.
It's perfect. Thank you. So if we do not do good works in our fast, then we don't really know why we fast. And if we don't really know why we're fasting, we're just cutting the end of the roast beef off, throwing it away, for absolutely no reason. Right? So, when asked, why do we fast? Right? For me to get to the good works, I must first be able to empty my cup. I have to relieve myself of any ties to the world, physical and spiritual, just like Monica just read. And so the physical being the food, and then not the spiritual, but the worldly thing. So once I can relieve myself of those things, my cup can be full, and then I can go out and receive God by doing good works. So the stopping of the food is just simply the preparation for the rest of the fast, for everything else that we should be doing. So that's pretty much just the end of the lesson part of it, but I just do want to tie this back real quickly with the chapters of the Bible that we are reading every Sunday up till this point. And first one, anybody know what the first one of Lent is? First gospel? Treasures of Heaven. Second one? Yeah, Temptations. Okay, and third one? Prodigal Son. So those first three, all kind of linked. They're all kind of telling you the same thing, which is the emptying part, right? I don't need food. I don't need, like the prodigal son, I don't need all the money and to go out there and do everything. None of this stuff will fill your void, right? Only God. The next one's Samaritan woman. I'm sorry. What's the next one? And the one after that? And the one after that? Yeah. Paralytic and then the born blind, right? So, and all those together are basically the same thing. God breaks the tradition and says, it's time to change your life. He says, Samaritan woman just drops, right? Here's the three famous verses in each one of them. The Samaritan woman drops her cup and leaves and goes on to do what she needed to do for God, right? She goes out and preaches, leaves the cup behind. The next one, God asks a weird question. Do you want to be healed? To a guy that's been paralyzed for a very long time, right? Do you want to be healed? Because you have to be ready to change, just like the Samaritan woman. And the third one, the blind man, the famous one, I guess, is I was blind and now I see, right? But again, all three, the first three and the second three, you see the similarities in kind of the same way that we need to fast. Prepare yourselves, empty yourselves, and then go ahead and change, right? And by doing that, we are talking about going out there and doing good works. Okay. Any questions? Went a lot faster than I thought it would. So. Any questions? Abuna?
You guys want to break in groups and discuss things?
Sure.
I think it's a very timely topic, and you still have 2 weeks. So if we haven't emptied ourselves a little, and if we haven't started changing, well, you know what? It's never too late. We have 2 more weeks. But we can talk about this.
Okay. Anybody have a good question to ask? Somebody think with me. Come on. Monica? Question?
I guess maybe one of them can be what are the challenges during the fast that we can sort of talk about and sort of help each other. And
Okay. And focus on the, yeah, sorry.
How can we fill the cup that was empty?
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. How to fill your cup. All right. Thank you, guys.
The question is how to empty and how to fill.
Yes. Very nice. Very nice.
We do like 3 groups.
Yeah. Okay. How do I stop it? How long?
We can just like grab your chairs and make
20
sure.
minutes?